We need to talk.
Honestly, I am so incredibly grateful you have come back today, because I really need to talk to someone about what is unfolding right now.
A new development has completely turned the Lynette Hooker case upside down, and frankly, it leaves me cold.
The authorities just made a massive official move,
Completely calling off active physical searches in the deep, dark ocean.
A truly devastating blow to everyone hoping for justice. But that is not even the shocking detail that stopped me completely dead in my tracks.
What freezes me is what investigators found just before they walked away. A hidden clue inside that vessel turns this entire tragedy into a calculated nightmare.
Will Lynette Hooker never get her justice?
Has the law actually given up?
And is a cold-blooded killer really walking free among us while this entire case gets swept under the rug?
It makes me absolutely furious.
But listen closely.
Because what we are uncovering today changes everything. And it could be the exact secret that finally leads us straight to the killer.
Please make sure to subscribe, share your thoughts below, and stay right here with me.
Let us jump straight into the dark heart of this mysterious case.
Because what investigators just found makes my blood run cold.
Between April 10th and April 13th, while police were actively investigating the disappearance of Lynette Hooker, the Soulmate yacht tracking system went completely silent 3 more times.
Think about that. Your wife is missing out in the ocean.
The police are actively searching your boat for clues, and suddenly, the vessel's digital footprint vanishes from the earth over and over again.
It makes absolutely no sense.
Why would anyone need to conceal a yacht's movements after a tragedy? It is deeply infuriating because it looks like a calculated attempt to hide something, right under the noses of the investigators, trying to find her. But it gets even worse when you look back at how this nightmare actually began.
Fox News Digital, working with a global maritime tracking platform called Vessel Finder, pulled the official logs from the night Lynette vanished on April 4th.
The data shows that at exactly 9:29 p.m., the yacht's tracking system suffered a massive 11-hour blackout, only coming back online at 8:40 a.m. the next morning.
It is a chilling, empty void.
Think about what that means. For 11 hours and 11 minutes, the ocean was completely blind to this boat.
The Coast Guard had no way of knowing where it traveled,
How fast it was moving, or what was happening in the pitch black.
But can a high-tech system just glitch out like that on its own?
Fox News Digital took this data to Kenneth Engerand, a respected maritime law professor at the University of Houston Law Center. And his professional verdict completely shatters any convenient excuse.
He made it clear that these advanced tracking systems do not just randomly fail and then fix themselves.
They are hardwired directly into the boat's main power supply.
Unless the vessel sank to the bottom of the ocean, which we obviously know it did not. The only logical conclusion is that a human hand physically flipped the switch to shut it down. Just imagine the sheer terror of what was being hidden during those silent, empty hours.
In fact, investigators know the precise moment that trap was laid. Eyewitnesses on shore confirmed they spotted Lynette and Brian at the Abaco Inn, departing in their small dinghy at 7:30 p.m.
At 9:29 p.m., the tracking system on the main yacht was suddenly disabled.
Just 2 hours later.
This suggests that the moment they stepped back on board, the priority wasn't turning in for the night, it was immediately killing the digital trail. It is a dark timeline that leaves investigators deeply skeptical. But it points straight to the bizarre story Brian later fed to the police. He claimed a sudden, violent storm with terrifying 3-foot waves battered the boat, whipping up a chaotic scene that pitched Lynette straight into the pitch-black ocean. On the surface, it sounds like a heartbreaking story of a tragic maritime accident. But the facts tell a different story, because scientific data from the Sea of Abaco exposes it as a pure fabrication.
Official weather records from that precise night near Elbow Cay
prove the water was completely calm and glassy, with no treacherous waves in sight. How does a husband invent a fictional, violent storm while his wife is actively drowning?
But the depth of this deception runs even deeper. When federal agents analyzed GPS history on the phone belonging to Brian, they uncovered a massive contradiction.
The coordinates he shared with police didn't match his actual digital footprint. The two spots were miles apart.
It is a stunning display of arrogance from someone trying to cover his tracks. He even claimed to investigators that Lynette had accidentally dropped the ignition key to the dinghy overboard, killing the engine.
But their daughter, Carly Aylesworth, stepped forward with a devastating detail that tore his defense apart.
She revealed that her mother had never once driven that dinghy,
And Brian was always the only person who held the key, a small but fatal flaw in his story.
But look at the high-end technology.
Sitting right inside the boat that he chose to ignore. When you step inside the vessel, the cold, digital forensic evidence begins to tell a very dark story. The boat was equipped with a $33,000 FLIR thermal camera, built specifically to detect a human heat signature in pitch-black water. Yet Brian never turned it on to search for his drowning wife. He actively hid its presence from investigators for a whole month until his close friend, Dan Danforth, finally revealed the truth to federal agents in May.
This deliberate silence suggests a chilling, calculated delay rather than a panicked rescue attempt.
Even more disturbing, journalist Ashley Banfield revealed that the Apple Watch worn to dinner by Lynette was never actually lost at sea.
Federal agents found it hidden, bone dry, inside the cabin of the vessel.
This hard evidence is why investigators seized the luxury yacht, named Soulmate, in Fort Lauderdale and shipped the 8-foot dinghy from the Bahamas straight to a forensic lab.
Every single wire and sensor is being analyzed right now.
Which brings us to the incredibly strange behavior of Brian once he left the island.
The moment Bahamian police released Brian on
April 13th, he insisted his sole priority was finding his missing wife.
But within 24 hours, he boarded a private jet, fleeing straight back to the United States to hire a prominent defense attorney named Crystal Marie Hauser.
It leaves a heavy ache mixed with pure fury.
While a massive Coast Guard vessel and drones and trained search dogs desperately combed the open sea for Lynette's body, Brian was caught on camera casually browsing a Sierra store in Michigan,
totally unbothered, before traveling around California and Oregon.
Then, come June 10th, reliable sources confirmed that once his experienced federal defense team took charge, Brian shut down completely, refusing to say another word to federal investigators.
Now, an associate has dropped a major bombshell, claiming Brian might try slipping across the Mexican border because he knows federal agents are watching his every move. But former prosecutors Julie Rendelman and Tad DiBiase saw right through this strategy.
This is all part of a deliberate waiting game,
Measuring the precise distance between those two GPSs.
blackout windows to build an airtight case around his own consciousness of guilt.
They are making sure that when they eventually strike, he has zero room left to run. When you piece all of this together, those silent blackouts, the concealed night vision gear,
And that sudden flight, the dark reality, is simply impossible to ignore. Brian acts like a cold, calculating operator, not a grieving husband.
Does this forensic trail prove beyond any shadow of a doubt that Brian is the monster behind her disappearance?
Or has the justice system completely failed here, letting a potential predator slip away into the night? Share your thoughts down in the comments below. Lynette was left out there, vanishing alone into the dark.
And we cannot let her memory go quietly without a fight.